the Executive Director of the Henry Jackson Society, Alan Mendoza. Alan, thank you very much for joining us. This is a really important statement by Sir Keir Starmer, and I think a welcome one, even from his political opponents.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. I think he's done the right thing. We all knew defence spending would have to move. He's moved up the timelining for doing so, and it's important to recognise that. He's making the right choice here for Britain, and he's made the right choice for the budget cut as well. He's gone, the obvious place to take this from is another foreign, as it were, outward-facing budget. We're going to put it into defence and move forwards. The only thing I'd say, Jacob, is it enough? I'm struck by the fact that he said we've got to head for 3% in the next Parliament. But if you think you've got to head to 3% in the next Parliament when the threats are already here, why not move quicker towards it? I think that's the only bit I would quibble with and say we should be moving to 3% on an escalator right now as opposed to waiting to the next Parliament.
Isn't this, though, absolutely classic of the UK's defence policy, actually going back hundreds of years, that we always wait and wait and wait, and then we get to a point when we get really worried and we throw the kitchen sink at it? That's exactly what happened with the First and Second World War, but actually it happened in the Napoleonic Wars too.
Yes, you might well say that we have not learned from our own history when it comes to these matters. But, as has been said on other occasions, the important thing is that you get there in the end before it is too late. And I think that the key to it is recognising we are now leading on this. We're leading within Europe, for example, when many other countries are still in the 1%, as it were. And we should be able to extend that beyond and show our American allies as well that we're serious about doing our bit for burden sharing.
And how should we behave towards our American allies? I was very struck that the motion at the UN Security Council that didn't apportion blame to Russia went through with us abstaining. But we've got a veto. Shouldn't we actually put forward our own views? And doesn't Trump respect strength rather than cravenness?
I think there's a certain degree, well, I'd agree with you there. And I think what President Macron has shown with his visit is that you can be quite bold and a bit cheeky and still get praised by President Trump, who I think enjoys a bit of sparring and a bit of repartee in that sort of way. Should we have used a veto on it? Look, we've not used the veto since 1989. And I think it's about time we did start, in Britain's interest, using the tools that are at our disposal. We're often told, aren't we, oh, we can't do this because of legal issues. Here's something which is legally ours to use and do. I wouldn't have done it on that motion because fundamentally, we all believe that the war in Ukraine, everyone's peace. That was the wrong motion to do it on, but there are things we could be using it on and should be using it on. For example, if the Chagos Islands issue ever hits the UN, I would expect Britain to use its veto and say, sorry, in our national defence interest, we're not going to be doing that. So I think there's definitely a case for being stronger, and I think President Trump would recognise that, but you've got to do it in the right spirit, which is in that sort of friendly way.
And you mentioned Chagos Islands. That's quite important as a sort of an aside on this increase in defence spending, because it seems as if the great squid loads of money that are going to the Mauritian government will come out of the defence budget. So there may be an element of smoke and mirrors, which, if that's true, would be, I think, quite concerning.
If that's true, it would be more than concerning. It would be outrageous. It would be a total neglect of defence in exchange for a bad deal that we don't need to be doing and that nobody in the UK thinks we should be doing. So I hope that's not the case. I'd expect us to, again, I would hope the Americans will get us to change our minds on this, and that we can, look forward to a better relationship going forwards with them, as well as with the Chagos Islanders themselves.